What's up, crypto? Hey, quick little BTC bit for you. This one coming at you from News BTC. Does 50% decline in the Turkish Lira prove Bitcoin is better than Fiat? The Turkish Lira has fallen by 50% since September 2017 from 3 cents USD to 15 cents USD. While Bitcoin has fallen more than the Lira in the past 12 months, investors of Bitcoin still are capable to withdraw and cash out their investments in crypto. And I don't know if you heard, but the Turkish government also just asked all of their citizens to turn in their gold. Who does that remind you of? I don't know if you knew, but in 1933, your own government here in the U.S., if you're in the U.S., did confiscate all the gold of its citizens. And Turkey didn't go so far as to confiscate, but they did ask for for people to voluntarily turn in their gold, trade it in for lira to support the currency, even though they won't let you spend it anywhere. Isn't that great? Strict capital controls. All right, currently the price of the Turkish lira against the US dollar is hovering around 15 cents, but similar to the Venezuelan bolivar, the value of the lira is difficult to justify given that, as of now, it is not possible for merchants, businesses, and individuals to exchange their holdings in lira to other foreign currencies. If you can't get your money out of the system, well, you don't have the money, right? If it's locked up in a platform or in someone and they are not allowing withdrawals, that's basically what's going on here. If you can't withdraw, you're a closed system. You can only buy products and services within that system, and you can't have any more goods or services coming in. You can't have any more capital leaving. I mean, you're basically have shut everything down to this closed network. Nothing can grow. Nothing, what can really happen? If you look at it like Zimbabwe or what's going on in South Africa now, very much so, once your money is unspendable, once you can't use it, once you have closed the system off, once you have made it to where investors do not want to participate, do not want to bring in new capital, well, what do you have? You got nothing. Here we go. The value of an asset and currency is subjective, and as a currency, the value of the lira is largely affected by its capability of operating as a medium of exchange. If the lira cannot be exchanged to other currencies or other foreign currencies, not only is it hard to justify the value of the lira even at its current price, but it is difficult to give a valuation to the lira at all. On Friday last week, President Donald Trump announced the imposition of tariffs against the Turkish economy, demanding the government of Turkey to free an American priest held hostage in the region. Almost immediately after the statement of President Trump was released, the price of the lira plummeted by 20%. That guy will hand out tariffs for anything. Now, obviously, there's been a lot more going on in the past, with as far as like what's going on in Syria and these other things. The supposed coup that took place that Erdogan totally lays on the shoulders of the United States, which may or may not be true. We are certainly capable and often, hand in hand in that type of thing. As far as getting involved in that type of thing, our country without a doubt overthrows all kinds of countries and takes place in all sorts of coups and meddles with everyone. That is basically, as they consider themselves the world police, that's kind of the standard procedure at this moment. On Friday last week, Donald Trump announced the imposition of tariffs against the Turkish economy, demanding the government of Turkey to free an American priest held hostage in the region. Almost immediately after the statement of President Trump was released, the price of the lira plummeted by 20%. Carrie Gregg, an analyst at J.P. Morgan, said in a note obtained by CNBC, the decline in the lira is multifaceted, caused not only by a weak external position in terms of current account deficit and inadequate currencies reserves, but also the challenging political environment which exacerbates the vulnerabilities in the lira. A mid-meeting rate hike and tightening of the monetary policy may help to avert the lira's decline to some extent. The real issue with the national currency of Turkey is that the local financial authorities have disallowed merchants, businesses, and individuals from sending the lira outside of the country or purchasing any foreign currencies with it. Turkey President Erdogan has repeatedly asked the citizens of Turkey to hold on to the lira amidst one of the most intense devaluations of the national currency in recent years. Now imagine if you could get all your investors to force hodl your coin. That's basically what he's doing now. You may be able to save its ultimate demise, but it's going to lose a lot of its value, especially if you start tightening up monetary controls that way. That if you don't allow new liquidity to come in and you don't allow a use case for your currency, it can't do anything but go down, guys. As a consequence of the downfall of the lira, some merchants, including 48-year-old jeweler Shit Bass, lost more than 50% of their savings in the past year, and that's by holding on to their currency. Bass claimed in an interview with Bloomberg that his savings, which were worth $340,000 in mid-2017, have now fallen to a value of $155,000. So from $340,000 to $155,000 is what his money is worth. I've lost about 1 million in liras. I think we're heading for a crisis even worse than the previous one, Bass said. Is crypto and Bitcoin better? Against the US dollar, the Bitcoin price has performed worse than that of the lira since 2017, as it recorded a drop of over 70% within a period of 8 months. But investors in the public cryptocurrency exchange market have full authority over their funds and are free to sell their holdings of Bitcoin to other foreign currencies like the US dollar, yen, Korean won, whatever you want. That's what makes Bitcoin so powerful. Ownership. Owning your currency. You don't own a single dollar if you have dollars. You don't own them. You are borrowing them. They are a note of debt. They are a representative of debt, and that's all they will ever be. As of current, the Turkish lira has virtually no liquidity and no value as a medium of exchange because of the extreme measures implemented by its government to essentially disable the usage of the lira outside of the country, outside of Turkey. In the short term, the inability of the citizens and residents of Turkey to use, exchange, and trade lira could allow the currency to decelerate the rate of its devaluation, as I was saying, but the recent situation of the lira has shown that, as former Goldman Sachs CEO Lloyd Blankfein, who is a total piece of crap, there is a market for consensus currencies and decentralized financial networks that are not under absolute control by a centralized group of authorities. Damn right. And this just shows how much more how much more important Bitcoin is. You know, if all these people could get their money out of lira and out into Bitcoin, they will be able to use that coin. They will have ownership of their currency. They will have ownership, which is something you can't have holding fiat. And, just having if you had a dollar back in the day before it got unpegged from gold, and that dollar got to hold on to its value, because right now the dollar is at 98% value loss since it was unpegged from the gold. So 98% of the value of the dollar is gone. So it's, a loaf of bread costs what? A few bucks. A loaf of bread used to cost a dime. The value of the bread didn't change. A loaf of bread is still a loaf of bread. What's changed is the value of the dollar. And if they had stopped printing dollars, your dollar today would be worth even more. It would have gone backwards. Instead of a dime paying for one loaf of bread, it would buy 4 loaves of bread. And that's the way it should be if we were pegged to something and you couldn't just print money out the yin yang. Because with Bitcoin, or whatever cryptocurrency is your favorite, as long as there's a limited supply and it's decentralized, then, and there is a limited supply, it's deflationary. It goes the opposite way. It keeps its value. That is what money should do. Over time, products should go down in price, not forever going up. The reason they forever go up is because the Fed has decided, in its infinite wisdom, that we need a 2% inflation no matter what. And they'll do whatever they can to get that 2% inflation, even if it's print money out of thin air, create new money, raise, lower, play with interest rates, do whatever they can to tamper with the free market. And they have convinced so many of these Keynesians that that this type of meddling is necessary and a good thing, and the only thing that keeps us afloat, and it stops the extreme highs and extreme lows, and supposedly will save us from giant recessions and depressions. But what it has actually done is caused the opposite to happen. There is more cause for depression and more depressions, recessions, because of they keep putting off the inevitable. You know, you don't ever pull off that band-aid. You don't even look at the wound under there. You just allow it to fester. It's not getting better, guys. There's a flesh-eating disease in there called quantitative easing that's destroying any chances of healing, any chances of repairing this economy and bringing it back to where it's supposed to be. Anyway, there's a quick little rant for you, a little BTC bits. Like, subscribe, all that jazz of crypto music. I'm going to catch you guys on the flip. Let me know what y'all thinking. How do you guys feel? Leave me a comment. I can certainly use them. Anyway, like, dislike, one of those things. But interact, would you? It's crypto music. I'm out.